There is a brief moment before almost every unnecessary purchase when the mind knows the truth. You do not need it. But the moment is fragile. A sale timer is counting down. The product is almost gone. The advertisement promises that one purchase will make life easier, more impressive, more complete. And before reason can speak, the transaction is finished. Centuries before one-click checkout, Edo period merchants faced the same weakness in a different form. Their markets were filled with silk, ceramics, tools, sweets, ornaments, and imported luxuries. Buyers still compared themselves with neighbors. Status still influenced spending. Desire still disguised itself as necessity. Yet successful merchant families learned to place distance between emotion and money. Their advantage was not simply thrift, it was delay. The modern version can be expressed in one sentence: before buying anything non-essential, wait 24 hours. It sounds almost too simple. But beneath that pause lies a sophisticated lesson about psychology, opportunity cost, and wealth preservation. In Tokugawa-era Japan, merchants occupied an unusual place in society. They could become financially powerful, yet they remained beneath samurai, farmers, and artisans in the official social hierarchy. Wealth brought influence, but displaying too much of it could attract resentment or unwanted attention. This encouraged a culture in which many merchant households valued control, accounting, and restraint. Money was not treated merely as something to spend. It was working capital, family security, inventory, reputation, and protection against uncertain seasons. A careless purchase was therefore larger than the object itself. It could reduce cash available for trade. It could weaken a household during a bad harvest. It could force borrowing at the wrong moment. Merchant discipline was built around a wider question. Before money left the household, they did not ask only, "Can we afford this?" They also considered, "What will this money no longer be able to do?" That second question is the foundation of opportunity cost. Every coin used for consumption loses the chance to become inventory, savings, debt reduction, or future income. The cost of a purchase is not only its price, it is also the future that the money can no longer serve. But opportunity cost is difficult to feel during temptation. The object is visible. The lost future is not. This is why delay matters. An impulse purchase is usually not a financial decision in the strict sense. It is an emotional reaction that happens to involve money. Behavioral economics describes a gap between the present self and the future self. The present self feels urgency, pleasure, envy, boredom, or stress. The future self will face the bill, the clutter, the reduced savings, and the missed investment. But because that future is distant, its consequences feel weak. The 24-hour rule changes the balance. It does not forbid the purchase, it simply removes immediacy. Desire often rises like a wave. It feels permanent while building, but most urges weaken once the trigger disappears. The sale page is closed, the advertisement is forgotten, the comparison with another person fades. What seemed necessary at night may look unnecessary the next morning. The pause allows the rational mind to return after the emotional mind has spent its energy. This was the deeper value of disciplined merchant accounting. Recording and reviewing decisions converted vague desire into visible numbers. Once a purchase had to be entered into a ledger, compared with household needs, and justified against future obligations, emotion lost some of its power. Modern commerce is designed to prevent that reflection. Online stores remember payment details. Social platforms place products beside images of success. Limited time offers create pressure. Free shipping encourages larger orders. Subscriptions reduce the pain of paying by dividing costs into smaller amounts. The system works best when the distance between wanting and buying is reduced to seconds. The 24-hour rule restores that distance. For a non-essential purchase, place the item in a cart or write it on a list. Then leave it alone for one full day. During that time, ask 4 questions. What problem does this actually solve? Would I still want it if nobody else could see it? What future use of this money am I giving up? And if I wait 30 days, will my life become meaningfully worse? These questions expose different kinds of spending. Some purchases solve real problems. Others purchase identity. A person buys the appearance of discipline instead of developing discipline, the image of wealth instead of wealth itself, the tools of productivity instead of productive habits. This is consumer psychology at its most subtle. We often do not buy the object. We buy the story attached to it. A luxury watch can become a story about success. A new phone can become a story about relevance. A larger home can become a story about having finally arrived. But stories become expensive when they must be repeatedly purchased. Edo merchants understood that reputation mattered, but durable reputation came from reliability, not decoration. A merchant who paid obligations, kept accurate records, maintained quality, and survived difficult years built something more valuable than visible status: trust. The modern equivalent is financial resilience. A person with modest possessions, low fixed expenses, emergency reserves, and consistent investments may appear less successful than someone financing a more impressive lifestyle. But when income falls or the economy weakens, appearances lose their protective power. The 24-hour rule is therefore not only about saving small amounts, it trains a deeper form of self-command. Each delayed purchase is a rehearsal. You feel desire without immediately obeying it. You experience urgency without treating urgency as evidence. You learn that an emotion can be observed without becoming an instruction. This is where merchant discipline meets the mental discipline associated with the samurai. The connection is not that merchants lived like warriors. Their responsibilities were different, but both traditions respected control under pressure. A swordsman who reacted blindly to every movement could be manipulated. A buyer who reacts blindly to every advertisement can be manipulated in the same way. The person who cannot tolerate 24 hours of uncertainty becomes easy to sell to. Modern financial mistakes often begin with a refusal to pause. A pay raise arrives, and spending expands immediately. A market rises, and investors rush in because others appear to be profiting. A market falls, and they sell because fear becomes unbearable. A new trend appears, and the need to participate feels stronger than the need to understand. Impulse spending and impulsive investing are different behaviors, but they share one root: the desire to remove emotional discomfort quickly. The 24-hour rule teaches the opposite response. Do not act merely because you feel pressure. Let the pressure reveal itself. Give the decision time to become clear. For ordinary purchases, 24 hours may be enough. For expensive items, the waiting period should grow with the price. A week for a major appliance, a month for a luxury purchase, longer for a commitment that will shape years of income. The purpose is not endless hesitation, it is proportionate reflection. There is also an important exception. The rule should not delay genuine necessities, medical needs, safety repairs, or time-sensitive obligations. Discipline is not stubbornness. The goal is to separate real urgency from manufactured urgency. Over time, the savings created by this habit can become more than leftover cash. Money not spent can strengthen an emergency fund. It can reduce expensive debt. It can support education, a business, or long-term investment. Repeated consistently, small acts of restraint create capital. Capital creates options. And options create resilience. This is how compound wealth often begins, not with a dramatic decision, but with money that was simply not allowed to disappear. A single avoided purchase may seem insignificant, but habits compound before money does. The person who learns to pause becomes harder to manipulate. The person who becomes harder to manipulate makes fewer decisions based on envy, panic, and artificial scarcity. Gradually, that person builds a financial life shaped by intention rather than reaction. The old merchant lesson is not that desire is evil or that every pleasure must be denied. Wealth has little meaning if life becomes empty and joyless. The lesson is that enjoyment should be chosen consciously. After 24 hours, you may still decide to buy the item. But now the purchase has survived reflection. It is no longer merely an impulse. It is a decision. And that difference is the beginning of financial maturity, because wealth is not preserved only by earning more. It is preserved in the quiet space between desire and action. In that space, the future has a voice, and sometimes 24 hours is all it needs to be heard.